Everybody to the October edition of the Caron Sage Mining User Group. Today we're really talking about two topics that are new to Sage 300. I'm just going to kick things off here. My name is Paul Caron. I'm the CEO of Caron Business Solutions. The first speaker today is going to be Andrea Ainsley. She's the Sage Product Manager with Sage 300. And Andrea is going to talk about what's new in the latest version of Sage 300. That's the 2022 edition. And then later on, Tyler Bauer, who's the Director of Cloud at Work, which is a strategic partner with Sage and with Caron, is going to talk about their offering to host Sage 300 and other Sage products on the cloud. So just a little bit about us. We brand our solution as Caron Mining Solutions powered by Sage. Our solution really is more than just software. The software is provided by Sage, by third-party developers, and some applications that we've developed ourselves. Really what we deliver with our solution is world-class software, services from a team of experts, and we also have an international multilingual team to suit the requirements of the mining industry, because mines don't tend to be in downtown Vancouver or downtown Toronto. They tend to be in other places and commonly in South America. So we have a Spanish-speaking team as well. And if you really twist my arm hard, I can actually speak French to take care of some of our clients in French West Africa. So we are 100% focused on mining at Caron. We understand the mining solution. I was born and raised in a mining town. I've worked in mining all my life, and kind of bringing the ERP solution back to mining for me has been full circle. We really understand the value of mining in this world, especially the green world, where we need mining material badly to make batteries and to ensure that the electrification of the automobile is supported. And so we're big believers in mining as a green energy, but this is all we do. This is all we focus on. Talk a little bit about the fact it's not just us. We're really supported by Sage, and Andrea's from Sage North America. That's been a partner of Caron and of our clients for years. As I mentioned, we've been at it for 22 years, and Sage North America has been very important to us. We also have a very strong relationship with Sage in Latin America for our implementations there. And mining operations that cover more than just the Americas. We also have connections through Sage International. We have daily contact with the folks in Paris. We really do have the full international support of the organization. So that's about Caron. I'm now going to turn it over to Andrea, who's going to talk about the new edition of Sage 300, the 2022 edition. To you, Andrea.
Hey there, I'm Andrea Ainsley. Thanks for the nice introduction. All right, so as Paul mentioned, I'm going to cover the what's new in Sage 300 2022.0. And before we get going, Safe Harbor statement says statements regarding our product development initiatives, including new products and future product upgrades, updates, or enhancements, represent our current intentions, but may be modified, delayed, or abandoned without prior notice. And there is no assurance that such offering, upgrades, updates, or functionality will become available unless and until they've been made generally available to our customers. Quick overview of what's new in Sage 300. Kind of go through the release features, the roadmap update looking forward, and then some new resources that we have for our customers, as well as, so just to focus in on where we focus and add value for our customers, providing a better user experience. Certainly, we've heard some feedback, and we carefully monitor customer verbatims, NPS scores that we have, as well as customer conversations. And we've heard that, more modern UI, easier to use, are definitely areas that are a focus for our customers, as well as improved reporting and things like that. So for user experience, and then advanced capabilities and flexibility, we did add some additional features and provided some enhancements to existing features, which we'll be covering. All right, so better user experience. Let's start with our web screens. So this is the new GL chart of accounts. So this UI, and I think there's a couple of others that kind of wrapped up what we consider GL, AP, AR, common services, and we now have about 99% completion in all of those areas with UIs being complete. So this is our last of the chart of accounts, and then we have the reminder list, so you can go in and schedule your reminders. And then we started the project and job costing journey about this spring. And as of this release that was released in August, late August, we have 7 UIs complete. And the team is already working towards delivering more UIs for next year's release. So we're hoping to be close to wrapping up our Sage 300 project and job costing at that time. We've done some improvements around redesigning the Finder. From some of our active web screen users, we've heard that the existing Finder was a very different experience, didn't have the same sort of capabilities that we did in the desktop product. So we've added some filtering improvements, persistent filtering to help default search, so you don't need to find or restate how you want to find things. Additional filtering options to find first and last record much easier. There's also a new option to show all records, and also you can also change the size of the Finder as well. So again, from a usability perspective. And then we also align more with the desktop functionality, as mentioned, and improve the keyboard accessibility. So we've really invested a lot, and all of those have been completed on the web screens to date. All right, so one of the other improvements that we did was took our financial reporter, which was 32-bit compliant, and what this really meant is that as Microsoft Excel had progressed in versions, many of our customers had to uninstall a modern version of Excel and put on a 32-bit version, or a version that would support 32 bits so financial reporter could run. And needless to say, this was not ideal for our customers, so we wanted to upgrade it, so we did for the desktop, and we are right in the process of building out a prototype for the web screen, so we hope to have something in place for the web screen for financial reporter as of the next release. All right, so enhanced third-party help. What this really means is that we've now put in the ability on our back end to allow different third-party groups to be able to access and link in their help. What this means for you, our customers, and our users is that instead of having to go to different help menus to find content, once those third-party products link in their help, you'll be able to go to a single menu tree and find all the categories for all the help for all of the different applications that you use today. All right, so some advanced capabilities with purchase orders, order entry, and reserve LanPaks and bank feeds. So purchase order improvements, we've made 2 kind of recent improvements here that are being shown in the UI. One is around, something that we did was allow I would consider it almost more of a defect. So when you added additional costs, negative additional costs in the purchase order credit notes, didn't quite allocate properly. So we've gone back to rework that. And now you can go through and put a negative additional cost on the purchase order credit notes. You can also mass update location and or expected ship date in the order detail line. So if you start entering a purchase order and you realize halfway through that, oh no, I need to go and update the location of where those items need to be or the expected ship date, you can go in, update the date in the header and say set the arrival date or set the location. And so those new buttons that you see here down at the bottom will allow you to mass update all the detail lines. We did the same thing for those set location and set expected ship date in the order entry signed to match. So reserve LanPak user license. What this really means is today we have a concurrent system. So when you buy your licenses. You buy, X number of licenses, and they can be used by a number of different individuals at your organization, albeit not all at the same time. But you can kind of share those LanPaks and those license files in order to be more cost effective. One of the things that has become a challenge is that there's some individuals in the organization that may not want to have to share and may not want to be bumped out. So now we can designate certain individuals. In this case, you see Renee May, and you can set the role, and you can choose to dedicate or take one of your user licenses and make it reserved. So in this case, if you had, say, a 5-pack concurrent license, it would take one of those 5, and Renee would have a designated LanPak for her use exclusively. This can also be used for also integrating third-party products. So if you use a third-party application that needs a license in order to connect to it, and you don't want to drop, you want to make sure that they have a consistent connection, you can do the same thing and just name the user, the application, and again, designate the LanPak. Bank feeds were new to Sage 300 about a year ago, April, and it was a new addition from what we call our Service Fabric group, which kind of build out common components that we at Sage can then consume and include in our products to enhance the value for our customers. There's some initial, I think, limitation on the way that the clearing of those checks and payments would happen. So we've added some additional functionality so that now there's additional methods to clear on. So they can clear on bank clear date based on your local time. And what that means is you'll just get a more improved and more closer, accurate matching of records and clearing of transactions. All right, so Sage 300 roadmap. So big highlights. So we're kind of wrapping up 2021, looking ahead to our fiscal year 2022, and then out to 2023. We've got some key themes. We always start with our core compliance. So whether that be legislative, technical, security, and payroll updates, those are always job number 1, and they take up a chunk of our capacity and our time and our roadmap. We are still pushing forward with completing our web screens. So as you saw, we started rolling out our PJC ones. We hope to complete those. And then after that, we hope to be done by 2023. Now, we've recently decided to move forward with doing our US and Canadian payroll web screens. So we'll be moving forward with kind of the next set, and we'll probably go back to our inventory group to do serialized number and lot tracking, and then move on to payroll. Sage Data and Analytics, we launched this year. It's a new reporting tool that you can use. It's a pure cloud solution, and it's hosted on Azure. That was launched in early April. We have extensions that we're working on to improve the ISV ecosystem, including improving the web SDK and API so that all of our ISVs can migrate to the web screen journey themselves more easily, and to ensure that they're there when we're complete as well. So there's it's not great if we're there and Sage 300 is complete web screen and our community is not, because that will not help you if you want to choose to move to the web screen. So we're investing some effort there. We also have some UI performance data, privacy and modernization that we're working towards. You've seen some of the highlights. We've got some more that we're headed towards. This past year, we did a lot of work around the finders, and I'll give you the highlights of what's coming next. And then we do some customer requested features. So we try and select a few that have high votes that are valued, that also resonate with other input and feedback that we get from other channels. So it's not just the Ideas portal, but NPS scores, customer verbatims, and even site virtual, well, right now we're doing virtual site visits or customer conversations. So we do take those, and actually the purchase order, order entry, and the reserve LanPak features that I just talked about all came from customer suggestions. So as I mentioned, looking forward, we've got our kind of roadmap out for the next 12 months. We've got our core, our partner cloud, which was a new initiative we launched earlier in the year, which Tyler will be talking about shortly. Sage 300 online, and then Sage 300 payroll. So our tax updates are going to continue. You know, we've got some good improvements that are coming. We're planning out a year. This is our year view, but we actually also have a 4-year roadmap that, you know, we don't typically share externally, but just know that we do plan out multiple years in advance, and we have a lot of investment that we're still planning to make over the next 4 years, and we'll continue that way. Sage payroll enhancements. We have high adoption in Canadian payroll, about 50%, and in US payroll, 30%. So we've chosen to go through and select, and these are some of the enhancements that we've heard from customers, and we're working our way through this list. So we'll hope to see some new payroll, both Canadian and US, delivered soon during the payroll tax update time later this year. Some new usability enhancements that are coming along, you know, grid hotkeys. So, you know, the problem is when you go to in the detail line, you want to be able to refresh the grid or pop up the grid. Right now, everything is mouse driven. We want to be able to allow for shortcut keys. So we're adding a bunch to our next release. So shift spacebar, Alt R to add a new row, Control Delete, or plus minus sign to add or delete a row. And then F9 key, refresh grid, click add text, and edit. We also plan on adding record navigation. So if you're familiar with the classic desktop, there's the record navigation at the header and at the level, so you can scroll through your batch headers, and you can also scroll through, you know, your purchase orders or whatever you want. You can either jump forward one or back one or to the end and to the back. We're going to be adding those to the web screens. So we're planning, and we call them internally our VCR buttons. For those of you that are over 40 and remember what a VCR looked like, that's what we internally labeled them as, but we'll be bringing them back to the web screens as they were highly requested by our customer base. And then some customer supporting materials. So I've linked in, you know, the release notes, some Sage University courses if you want them in French or English, some knowledge base articles, and even some what's new videos. So if you want to drill in specifically to some of those improvements, you can.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Really appreciate that. Would now like to turn things over to Tyler Bauer, and Tyler is with Cloud at Work, and he's going to talk about something really exciting from my perspective, which is getting Sage 300 onto the cloud.
Thank you everyone so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Today we want to talk about the case for hosting Sage in the cloud. My name is Tyler Bauer. I'm the director of Cloud at Work. We focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's delivering the absolute best experience for Sage users in the cloud. We are actually a strategic hosting provider with Sage, so we're the only certified strategic hosting provider in North America for Canada and the US, and we absolutely love working with Sage, such smart people, and as well love working with our business partners like Paul, and certainly Paul is my favorite partner to work with. We do a lot of great stuff together. So one topic that I know that everyone is facing, especially entering into budgeting season, with all the accumulation of the year and a half or 2 years that we've just been through, is how can we mitigate risk? How can we make things easier, and how can we keep up with the ever-growing pressures of IT and IT security? So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. We're going to talk about industry studies. We're going to talk about some challenges post-COVID. Well, I should say on the decline of COVID, and challenges that our customers that we've seen and what they've faced. We're going to talk about some solutions that Cloud@Work's offering to solve those problems. And then also talk about some programs that we have to make your transition easier for 2021 if you're looking to do this in 2022. We looked at all of our customers. Now, Cloud@Work, we've been around for about 3 years. We have about 350 customers that are in our data centers. And we wanted to get our customers' opinions as far as what challenges they were facing, both when they came to the cloud and as well that they're continuing to face as they go into the new year. A lot of these facts are similarities, right? So, for instance, costs, decreased costs, increased profits. It's kind of like a yin and a yang, but we wanted to share these because we feel like this is very interesting and really, crosses many different verticals and many different sizes of business. So obviously everyone's looking to decrease the time to market. We're looking to decrease CapEx, decrease costs, decrease risk, decrease maintenance. I think really this to sum this all up is really how to simplify or make IT more predictable. And then on the flip side, obviously looking to increase profits, increase flexibility and scalability, increase access to data insights into business, increase security and auditability, collaboration and integration. I think the increase portion over here is really a representation of the pressures that we've all felt in growing through this new normal, and really the challenges of the new generation of workers coming in and their demands of technology and their demands of I need it now philosophy, cybersecurity obviously being a very, very big deal, more so now than ever. I read a statistic on Forrester that cybersecurity threats are up 700% since the inception of COVID, obviously making it much easier because of that transition to home for most of us. And then as well, just collaboration and integration and how we can not be in the same room, but still be a team, right? Still work towards a common goal of success. Now, a lot of folks are looking at cloud for how to solve this. And at Cloud@Work, we are completely platform agnostic. We have relationships with Azure, relationships with AWS. We have our own data centers that are built for high performance and security. But some challenges that folks realize and where I'm trying to help educate the market towards is that there really isn't this general term cloud, and every single type of cloud is the same. And when someone thinks about going to cloud, when I talk to some of my customers, they immediately think of AWS and Azure, and that is not a bad thing. It's obviously a very planted thing, right? AWS and Azure are the two largest cloud providers in the world, and that's not going to change. They're excellent at delivering scalable resources, but what they're not excellent at is delivering an experience. They're very much a commodity, very much like a utility, and that's what they're striving towards even more. They want to be away from the people business and be into how can I automate and never talk to one of our customers. That's the business they're in. Now, there's just some misconceptions around public cloud that I think are important to highlight. One is it's very difficult to control cloud costs in public cloud. So for things like test and dev, it's different, right? Test and dev are different. For things like file servers or archive storage or backup, those are very different than controlling cloud costs for, say, a line of business application where data is moving in and out at a rapid pace, where maybe certain storage costs more than others, but you're looking for performance, you're looking for redundancy, you're looking for availability. Those things all mount up and they layer together. A lot of folks assume that the privacy of their data and the security of their data is embedded into that platform. And while there are securities around access to the actual servers, the data that lives on top and how people interact with it is not managed. That is still the responsibility of the organization or service provider that you're contracting with. Governance and compliance. The data centers at public cloud obviously have every HIPAA, high trust, SOC, you name it, right? They have every compliancy that known to man at those facilities. However, that happens at the data center, and there's a big gap between delivering an overall managed service or managed cloud to you as a customer versus just the data center. So you want to be careful and make sure that you're accommodating those governance and compliance regulations correctly. And then obviously the lack of cloud security skills and expertise. Some of my counterparts were just at a very large conference where we're talking about IT industry and into 2022, and the common thread was people, right? Finding people to help grow your business has become very, very difficult. In the cloud or in the public cloud, it takes a very specialized certified expert to do that efficiently. It's not the same as managing an on-premise server. It's very different. And very quickly, things like costs and security and risk can get out of control if the skills and the expertise aren't in the right area. Now, looking at public cloud and just, again, understanding what it can be used for in your business, and only you can determine that, and folks like myself can help guide you in that conversation. But this is where your peers are spending their money, according to a study for 2020. So obviously this is 2020, 2021. We're now going into 22. So I don't think this will shift drastically. I do believe that line of business applications, that middle line there, that CRM, ERP, HRMS, line of business, LOB applications, that purple or that first 41% should grow pretty drastically. But this is very interesting stuff when you look at how business is spending post-pandemic or in the middle of pandemic. So, and really this follows the enterprise trend, right? So enterprise usually guides the path for where spends are going to happen. So if you look at things like IoT and connectivity and management, BI, data warehouse and data analytics, the reason why these aren't priorities as of yet is because SMB mid-market is still investing into DR, storage, archive, backup, CRM, line of business applications into a secure platform. And eventually these IoT and BI will increase with that. But it's the way that technology works. The enterprise sets the path and is the guinea pig, and whatever really is efficient and works well, SMB and mid-market follow. So just very interesting stuff. Now, cloud at work and why we exist, kind of thinking of the marketplace and thinking of where everything is situated today. We started in 2017, and we started for one reason and one reason only. I saw a huge gap in line of business application hosting. And I saw that a lot of folks are looking for efficient, secure, and redundant ways to host their application and do that in a way that scales and is affordable. And what I saw in the marketplace was there's a lot of enterprise cloud managed service companies or management companies, big cloud companies who have platforms that are secure, available, and redundant, but they don't know Sage. And to bridge that gap, to really understand how that application needs to live, breathe, work, as well as understand how your business partner, who's so critical to the overall experience, needs to live, breathe, and work to provide the optimal experience. That disconnect created a lot of challenges for customers. Flip that on the other side, there is a ton of Sage hosting companies who have that specialty in Sage specifically, but a lot of them, in my opinion, it's completely my opinion, we're cutting corners on the security, availability, and redundancy. Now that hypothesis rang true. A lot of my competitors had major outages because of not taking the right approach to security, availability, and redundancy, and really just focusing on how do I deliver the cheapest cost. So we wanted to fit right in the middle. We wanted to do both. We wanted to have that Sage expertise and that Sage focus, but at the same time have that enterprise cloud capability and allow customers an affordable way to access both. Here are just some of our customers. Again, we have just over about 350 now. We span all products, so Sage 100, Sage 300, fixed assets, CRM, Sage 500, Sage X3, every Sage CRM, excuse me, every Sage product you can think of, and as well all the third-party and ISVs that go around that as well. So we're very well versed in PrintBoss, in data links, in Sage Enterprise Intelligence, all of those different components that maybe you're using today or want to use in the future. Now, when we talk about visually kind of what makes us unique, we talked about our differentiator and how we fit in the middle. But visually, this is how a traditional Sage cloud deployment would look. If you were a company and you said, I want to go to Azure, 99% of the time, most companies that I talk to don't have a certified Azure specialist on staff. Maybe you do, and that's definitely a great investment for your future, or maybe you've already made that investment. If you don't, you're going to have that first layer, that platform. Most companies are going to need to go out and get a management company of that Azure service. So you're going to have a cost when it comes to Azure, and then you're going to have a managed service company managing that deployment. Now, completely up to you as a business to determine what type of management company fits you best. But I can tell you that there aren't management companies out there who know Sage, and certainly there's none who are certified as a Sage strategic hosting provider for Sage. So what happens is it creates a layer. Then you have Sage, you have your publisher, and this list can go taller as well because most Sage users are using more than one product to deliver their overall Sage experience. So you could have 3, 4, even 5, 6, 7 different publishers that are involved in your Sage experience or your application experience. Then you have your Sage business partner, whose job is to bring all of those pieces together and focus on business productivity and how to apply that application nuance to your business and really move the needle for you there. And then you have yourself, the client. Now, when you look at this cloud experience, what happens is the client, the end user, is going to raise their hand and they're going to say, I have a problem. I don't know what problem it is per se, but I just know I have a problem. And at that point in time, the client has a decision to make. Is this a cloud issue or is this an application issue? And depending on that client's choice will determine how long the ticket takes to close, how long it takes to get a resolution, whether or not there's collaboration between all of these different components, right? And whether there's time involved in one checking down the lane for the other. And it just creates confusion. And mainly, in my opinion, what I strive to do, it creates inconsistency. If I'm running an IT, or if I'm running an organization, I'm looking right now more so less risk and as much consistency as I can get in my business. And that's what Cloud at Work delivers. We work directly with your business partner. We coexist together and are completely integrated to do one thing and one thing only: deliver the absolute best experience for you while you go to the cloud. And we consolidate the platform, the management aspect, and even parts of the publisher, understanding the publishers and how they work and how they need to be installed and how they need to be set up and provisioned. And our business partners like Paul and Caron, they come together with us and they're able to then take that install or that infrastructure and take it the rest of the way. We fit just like a puzzle piece together. And so it's been very, very successful while we've been working with our partners. These are just some of our data centers. So we have 2 primary tier 4 data centers. The one is in Philadelphia, in Collegeville, just outside, and the other is in Dallas, Plano. Texas. We actually have plans in the next year to build 2 more data centers. I can't get into the details of the locale, but I will say that we're looking at Canada right now, so expansion into there. What I wanted to talk about is 9. So if you'll see here, Cloud at Work guarantees 99.99% uptime. So what that equates to, and it's really how cloud companies define themselves, is 52 minutes of unscheduled downtime per year. And the only thing that you need to realize when it comes to 9s is 9s represent risk. They represent your acceptable risk tolerance. So if, for instance, you have a 3-9 solution, that's going to cost X because on the back end, you have 8 hours worth of downtime, according to this chart, over 8 hours worth of downtime that you could be susceptible to. Some companies, that's completely unacceptable. So they have to come down to the 4-9s types of cloud. Now, Cloud at Work, we guarantee the 4-9s, but we've trended for the last 3 years at 6 at the very bottom. So sub 31 seconds for the last 3 years, 36 months running. So very, very proud of that in my team. One other thing to mention about Cloud at Work and what we do, 100% of what we build is isolated virtual private environments. So we build dedicated clouds specifically for your business. You're not sharing servers or sharing resources or sharing anything from one customer to the next. There is complete isolation of your business, your data, your experience from one customer to the next. And what that allows us to do is if a customer clicks on something that they shouldn't, and a ransomware attack is let in or something happens to that customer's environment, you can be rest assured that's 100% isolated to that customer and will not trickle into other customers. Now, the way that we're able to get that customer who clicked on a link that they shouldn't have, and we can secure them and not put them in a vulnerable position, is right here at the hourly snapshot. So we guarantee 48 hours of snapshots. So we take a picture of your environment every hour for 48 hours, and we store that on a completely separate network. Then we take backups of your environment and we store that in a separate data center for 30 days. So now what this gives us is you've impacted your production environment. Now we have snapshots on a separate network and daily backups on a separate data center that we can restore from and get you up and running within the hour to get your business back up off its feet. So no more worrying about, is the backup secure? Do we have a usable backup? I've talked to companies who've had to pay the ransom to some of these threat actors. So no more of that. You have a completely guaranteed 24/7 supported and monitored solution delivered by a certified, accredited Sage strategic hosting provider. And we build everything dedicated, virtual private, with a complete ideology of redundancy, security, and risk in mind for you. The other thing to mention is you have no application limitations with us. We custom build everything to your business. So if you have a customization or you're using a third party that maybe you've told can't be in the cloud, that's not true. We have no limitations when it comes to our capability because of our architecture of isolating and dedicating to each customer. We're also going to provide you with all the licensing that you need for Microsoft and VMware and Excel and SQL and all of those pieces, so you don't have to worry about bringing those with. So while I jump into this, I talk to a lot of customers who are interested, but they're looking for a way to get to the cloud efficiently and faster. Now, when I talk to a lot of customers, one thing that they're looking to do when they move to the cloud is an upgrade. Or maybe you're implementing a new product, like a new third party. Something is changing with their environment that's requiring them to reevaluate their system. Maybe something's happened from a security perspective. Maybe something is just keeping you up and you can't get it out of your head and you just feel vulnerable. So these are where we wanted to create, again, Caron and Cloud at Work wanted to create a program to make this as easy as possible and eliminate some of those boundaries to go to the cloud. one way is we have what we call our development fund. Now, Cloud at Work has allocated $1.5 million for 2021, completely invested back into Sage customers to get them to the cloud easier. And the way that we're doing that is, if you were a customer of Cloud at Work and it was $1,000 a month, and you signed up with Cloud at Work for a 36-month term, we're going to give you a $3,000 credit that you can spend directly with Caron to do an upgrade or to buy a new piece of software from Sage. We're making it as easy as possible to invest into your core initiatives for the applications, while at the same time giving you 3 months of cloud hosting for free. We're giving you that first 3 months for free, so that eliminates that burden, especially right now at the end of the year. It's going to give you the rest of 2021 and possibly parts of 22 at no cost, and as well help invest to get you there better, faster, stronger.
So to let folks on the call know, we have actually been engaged with a client on the call here from Africa, who's tested the connectivity actually from the mine site in Africa and found it to be very good. We're just now taking over a test, or working with another client that has a mine in northern BC, just to test the connectivity, because that's that's the biggest issue, right? Is connectivity for a hosted situations. Things have got better with connectivity. There's no doubt about it. And if we can achieve a centralized installation of Sage, when you have mines in many different countries, that's a really big step forward. It really simplifies things and removes the need to move data around, which I think is extremely important. So, what I do like about the presentation that Tyler just gave, and what I've heard before, is that these guys know Sage. And frustrations I've had to try to move my clients to the cloud in the past has been that the data center knows Azure or Amazon. They know that extremely well, but they don't know the kind of peculiar things about Sage 300, because it's not designed as a cloud application. So therefore, you have to do some things, and you have to know some things about it to make it work effectively. And that's what I really like about these guys, is that they understand that, because that's all they do. I will just like to thank our speakers today. Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, Tyler. And I think if you have there's the contact information. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write to any of us. Happy to take your emails and calls and talk more about this. And please plan to attend our next mining user group meeting in November. And with that, I will thank you very much.